At AIA Australia, helping your clients in their time of need is our number one priority. In 2016, we paid over $1.15 billion in claims to both retail and group members. That's over $4.5 million every working day. To offer your clients cover you can trust, chat to your AIA CDM today.
And welcome to XY Live. We've got Josh Winsgrove and Sammy Robinson from Melbourne. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Big shout out to AIA for supporting the XY Lives that we do. Josh and Sammy are from Pursue Wealth down in Melbourne, and we're actually having Sammy on our event next week, the client experience, which is pretty exciting. You pumped for that, Sammy?
Oh, always. No, I'm really looking forward to it. It's an awesome location.
It sold out weeks ago. Must have been the headline act coming on.
What can you expect?
And it's at a whiskey bar, so that's pretty good.
I think that was an easy sell, the whole whiskey bar thing. Yeah. So the guards floating around as well, so that'll be fun. Right. So we've got Sammy and Josh here today to talk about the journey they've had in the last few months, getting a advisory board in place for their advice practice. There's reasons why they've gone about it. It's been quite a journey for them, and they've got a lot to share in terms of other practices that might want to be going down the same route and why you would do it. So to start off, it'd be great to hear a bit more about you guys for the people that don't understand your journey and where you guys have come from.
Yeah, cool. So I originally come from a bit of an accounting background, so from country South Australia, and so kind of worked as an accountant, then saw the light, moved across to the financial advice side about 6.5 years ago. But from there I kind of went down the path, worked for AMP, and then I started a financial advice firm and an accounting practice, and then learned a fair bit around that, and then started Pursue Wealth.
Yeah.
So we kind of did that together. So we kind of utilised the process of doing that to help set up our business today.
Yeah. I mean, my background was probably quite similar in terms of the amount of time that we've had in advice. I started, paraplanning, client services, that type of role, and then stepped up into AMP Horizons, which is where Josh and I actually met. So I'm originally from Toowoomba, and like Josh said, he's from SA, and so
it's a true love story over numbers there, meeting Horizons.
That's how all romance happens.
The romance couple of the financial advice industry.
Yep. And so I guess after doing our internship and stuff like that, so I started advising quite young. So I was 20 when I started giving advice, and then we moved to Melbourne together and wanted to get some experience before we went out and started our own practice. And after a little bit of time, so we started Pursue Wealth in 2014. And I suppose we just kind of wanted to do something we're really passionate about and really focus on a key target market, and something just being a little bit selfish, I guess, in the people that we wanted to work with, and all about having fun, I guess, is a big thing for us.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's no doubt having the pair of you would have definitely helped, because it's a challenge starting an advice practice, and having two would have made the journey much more
without each other, to be honest. We're kind of pretty lucky in that respect, and kind of set out a few, because we were both on the same page, we kind of set out a lot of the things we're both in charge of, so we didn't have arguments at work, which then would have been outside of work as well when we went home. So kind of made that pretty clear from the start, which was great.
Yeah, I've met a few advice practices where the couples are both in the practice, and it seems to work really well, I think, because dealing with lots of different clients and having different types of people that, obviously you two are different types of people, so it means that you can work with different people and different personalities better, each of you. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's days where we don't really even see each other as well, so it kind of feels like when we're at work, we don't really talk about personal stuff, we kind of keep pretty separate as well.
So are you saying that's a good thing, Josh? Or is that...
I was wondering where he's going with it.
Yeah. No.
I do get a break every now and again. Sammy has me. So.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So Pursue Wealth's been going along. You guys have a few, you're an expanding team.
Yeah.
There's a couple, 2 or 3 you've got now that are in your team.
Well, actually,
Well, think about this morning. I'm trying to work out how many we have, and we're starting adding it up. We've got 6 staff, and then we're putting another one on, so we have 7 probably by the end of the year. So kind of growing pretty quickly.
yeah.
And is there an overarching target market that you guys have your sights on?
Yeah, definitely. So we, like I said, well, our whole value base and why we started the business was all around wanting to have fun and just enjoying our lifestyle as well as doing what we really love. And so both of our background in financial advice, like Joshy was probably more so in the high net worth, self-managed super fund, that type of space, whereas my background was retiree space. And we were kind of, I guess, a little bit well, I was in particular overhearing like, oh, where were you 20 years ago? Where were you 30 years ago? You could have helped me so much more back then. And so we just kind of wanted to work with people that are like us. So, you know, they're motivated, they're go-getters, probably realistically, I would say 90% of our client base is between 25 and 45 in that bracket. We have very few in other spaces, and they were all...
Well, essentially the family and friends that sit outside. It's like, you know, our parents and things like that, that are, you know, older, that we really just want to help.
Yeah.
So otherwise, yeah, pretty strict on who we take on board.
Yeah, and really the main reason was we love seeing the difference and people who are wanting to make the changes in their lifestyle and really just keen to kick some goals. And we've been able to, when you're really strict in the beginning as to who you work with, and it's really hard, I guess, at the beginning when you're saying no to particular people. But if you're so strict on that at the get-go, they just keep replicating, I guess, in terms of the type of person that you bring on board. And that's been the best thing that we've ever done, I guess. And when we first started the business, we went around and asked people, like, what would you change? Like, if you went back, what would you do? And they said, you know, get really niche at the beginning, because we've all got these, you know, C and D clients that we want to essentially, we only dealt with them because we had to in the beginning. Whereas we kind of started out and said, well, we're not going to have that.
And that was by far the hardest thing for me, you know, spending all the money on setting up the business structure, the website, looking at marketing. Sam and I both leaving our full-time work and then, you know, going into a lease, and we had no client base and saying no to people. Wow, it was ridiculously hard. You know, we were negative, you know, 30, 50,000 before we'd even got $1 in the door. So, yeah, it was...
Yeah, it's a scary time starting an advice practice sometimes. It's got to put the ball on the line, so to speak.
But worth it now, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely worth it now.
You guys are killing it. So, like, this is all stuff that you guys had gone through before. So, and that's a great story in itself. But the recent journey around the advisory board, where has that come from? Why did you take that journey?
Yeah.
Well, there's a few reasons, I guess, because Sam and I work in the business together, and then we have the personal life outside of work. We kind of like are in each other's lives all the time. So we wanted an external party, I guess, to help us and see if there's any gaps in what we're doing, which there always is. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. So we wanted them to kind of build us and help us kind of focus on certain things, because we've got a lot of different ideas we're going to come up with. So kind of guide us in the right direction. And we didn't really know where to go to. So we thought, well, you know, what have a lot of good advice practices got? And a lot of them do have a great advisory board to help them. And we thought we'd just go down that path from there.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, like, so Josh and I have always got these, you know, big ideas that we're wanting to do and we're wanting to implement in the business. And, you know, we've got our priority matrix in terms of, you know, what we think is the biggest priority and what we should be working on now. I guess we wanted an external person to look at that and say, okay, well, are these activities that you're doing actually working towards your vision as to where the practice wants to go, but also personally as well? So in a way, and we're lucky with the people that we have on the board, is that they're able to link them both together and ensure that our business activity is working towards the bigger vision of the practice, but also for us personally as well. So that was another big point for us, just having that independent point of view as to, well, the stuff we're doing every day, is that really valuable, and is that getting us where we want to be fast enough?
Yeah.
So you made the call that you wanted to do this. What were the next steps? Like, where'd you look? How'd you find someone to help you?
Yeah, we kind of start off with, well, what do we actually want to get out of it? So why are we going to start the advisory board? And for us, it was really around like leadership and management styles, but also then kind of aligning all of our goals personally and with the business, because they kind of directly relate for us.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, well, we want kind of those two areas. So we need to kind of fill those two gaps. So we thought, well, who can we kind of get to fill those two gaps? And so we looked at someone who's kind of in the management side of things and like had a lot of experience in the management. And then we looked at someone who could help us with the focus and decision making as well. So we kind of went with someone in the industry and someone external to the industry to get both points of view.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think
kind of where we started.
one of the other things that we did prior to that was go around and talk to other practices that have advisory boards and just kind of say, well, what are you actually getting out of it? Did you find it beneficial? And we found that it was kind of hit and miss. Some people loved it and had them in the beginning and then disassembled them. And then other people thought it was just a little bit too confronting and got rid of it straight away. So I suppose the advice that we were giving right from the get-go is you have to have pretty thick skin to have an advisory board because when somebody, I mean, as a business owner, we all know we think of our businesses like our babies realistically, and you know, we know that they've got faults, but you don't want to hear it, I guess.
Was it like saying you've got an ugly child?
That's a good analogy, yeah.
So it is, and that was probably one of the big things. We were going into it saying, okay, we have to have an open mind and we have to keep thinking about why we want this, and we do want the best thing for the business and for our members. So how can we, you know, take it on the chin as to the feedback that they give? So the people we looked for, we also, I suppose, talked through how we would be most receptive to receiving advice, and they're unreal, realistically. They're really respectful.
Did you notice a correlation between the ones that had continued with an advisory board and the performance of their business, or perceived performance of their business at least?
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Probably, I'd say maybe more focused.
Okay.
It didn't so much vary in terms of the size of the practices that we were talking to. Because I mean, they, like you said, perception-wise, they were all very successful, and that's why we asked them. Realistically, it's like, well, what are you doing that, you know, you build such a great business? So perception-wise, I mean, all great businesses. But for me, it probably seems like they're a little bit more focused and a little bit more targeted in terms of, well, this is our vision and this is where we're going. And, you know, this is how long it's going to take, I guess.
More clarity.
Yeah, I reckon
definitely.
that's probably what the biggest thing that I saw.
Yeah, I agree.
So is that what you've noticed in the, like, from then till now, that the clarity's changed? And
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, going through the process, we kind of put together exactly, you know, our vision and our mission, what our personal goals and business goals were, and even just going through it initially, it kind of changed, and we kind of went back, okay, well, what do we want to get out of this? Like, what are our short and medium term personal goals? And they pretty much relate to the business goals as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of our key goals is to be able to step away from the business for a month and not have to worry about it. And, you know, with that becomes a lot of things, you know, like, you know, the staffing and who are they going to talk to, like clients if they have questions, who are they going to go to, like, it just opens up a lot of different things around that. So, yeah, kind of that helps a lot, actually.
So that initial goals and mission, like I went through Horizons as well, so you're probably redoing that you did originally when you had no idea what you were doing. It makes a difference when you do it later on, once you actually have figured out what advice is a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
I remember doing mine and I was like, I think I'm just making things up because I got no idea what's going on here.
It's so funny. We were talking about that business plan the other day, and we were going, oh, geez, we have no idea. And I remember the feedback that I got from the guy who was marking mine was like, when I talk to you, I see so much passion. Why can't you articulate that? And I was like, because I don't know what I don't know. Like, I don't know. What is the business that I want and how we're going to create it and where's it going to go? I don't know.
Yeah, I think because of that, it's so hard to do when you don't know that stuff. Like, if you actually want to be true to, like, have a good business plan and not just get something to paper.
Exactly.
I'm sure it was a lot easier this time when you were going through this process because you knew what was important to you by now.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
it was really good. And then, but the interesting thing was, I mean, even stuff like that, they were really happy to give us feedback as to, okay, well, how is this actually aligning to where you want to be? Let's strip back and go all the way back to vision, mission, values, and ensure that all of that is really genuinely where you've grown to. Because as the business grows, it doesn't mean that all of those things can't grow with you. So just kind of going back to basics as well was really interesting, and stuff that we were like, oh, we'll breeze through this. Like, that's the stuff that doesn't matter. And they're like, hang on a second, let's really assess every piece of the puzzle here. So stuff that we thought weren't, where we were going to focus time, they were really interested in spending more time on it. So the things that they picked up were probably very different, maybe to where we saw the initial meeting going. That was it was really interesting. And I would say probably a little bit, not off put, like confronting. Realistically, and I probably took it a little bit maybe harder than Joshy, but it realistically took me a couple of days to even process what they had told us. And that's just in all honesty, in terms of, okay, well, they gave us 90% positive feedback, 10% constructive. And it wasn't that, they were very respectful, but it's kind of like, you always focus on that 10%, don't you, rather than the 90% great stuff.
Was it a bit of the case that a lot of that stuff you'd assumed that was all locked in, and you had pre-thoughts on that, and you just put that aside now, we're just focusing on the business, and you didn't think that you needed to revisit that stuff? Is that sort of...
Yeah, possibly. It kind of was a bit like that.
Yeah, you kind of skim over things and you think, oh, well, that's fine, and then you kind of move on to the next thing, and you really thought we'd be talking about this, but it's more we're talking about this, and like, what?
Yeah, and I guess it's going back to the foundations.
Yeah.
Realistically, and as business owners, we think, oh, we've done the foundations, we're here, and they're going, no, let's start here, because they're on this journey with you, and they need to know about all this foundational stuff before they can get on the same page. But maybe there's some cracks there that we overlooked.
Yeah. Well, at that stage that you're going through, is that all the board members that you've ended up with, is that where they're all there, or are you working with one person at the start on this piece and then bringing in the other people? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've kind of gone down the path of getting 2 board members. So initially we looked at the 2 areas that we wanted help on, and we're like, well, if we get one person, it'd be good. But, having a second person there to bounce ideas with each other as well was, we thought, probably more ideal.
Yep.
So we went down the path of having 2, one in the financial services industry and the other one out external. We thought that was important to do that, because then they can see different points of view. And then, so we kind of, from there...
do you mind sharing what sort of industries, like where they are from?
Yeah, so she kind of works as one works in the financial services, and the other one works kind of like in a management role in a big company, corporate.
Financial services in wrap platform. So he's quite high up in distribution at a wrap platform.
Yep.
And then the other one, she's a business consultant. So she actually rolls out big programs for large corporates, such as
projects.
Accenture and Telstra and the UN and stuff like that. So big projects, Australia Post, stuff like that. So her aspect realistically is in process management, leadership, that type of thing. Whereas his point of view realistically is in the business growth. So they both had different strengths that potentially we kind of see are key in a business, and maybe things that Josh and I haven't had enough exposure in ourselves realistically, because as you grow, and we feel like we're growing quite quickly. I mean, it's all planned, but it is quick. Management and leadership styles is something that's really, really important to us. We want to not only inspire our members, but inspire our staff to push themselves and achieve more, and kind of practice what we preach, I guess. And then from a business growth point of view, we've never run businesses before. It's our first business, and like I said, you don't...
if you're doing it right, really. I mean, we think we're doing it okay, but you just need to, get a second opinion.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Exactly.
No, definitely.
Yeah, so it's really good. And so the initial chat, so we met with them both.
So it was with both of them?
So how it originally started was once we decided who we wanted, we went and asked them. So sometimes, and in a lot of cases, it comes with obviously remuneration to pay board members to sit on an advisory board. In our case, we were very lucky that both of them declined any payment, so which obviously helps a small business like us.
They've got equity.
Pardon? No. No. No, still on that.
It'll be 10%, thank you.
They are.
They just, to be honest, just want to see us do really well, which is, awesome.
Yeah.
Just really good people.
Yeah, definitely. And so we met with them both then individually to kind of say, okay, well, what is it, firstly, that you want to get out of it? And what would you like to see in the meetings? Like, what information can we give you that will help you help us realistically? So I think that was pretty important. So they, I suppose, in that way, put the agenda together just by having those chats saying, okay, well, what's going to help you? And then the
sorry, and that really kind of comes down to, like, if you give, the more information you give them, the more you're going to get out of it. Like, the more open and honest you are, if you say, well, this is like literally all of our financials, we think we're probably overspending here, and what are your thoughts? We've got issues with this, how can you help us? Like, you really have to open up, because the more you open up, the more you get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So was it a bit like, did it feel a bit like a sort of counselling session at the start?
In a way, do you know what? I kind of felt like when we were doing it that this is how our clients would feel.
Yeah.
When you come in and like when they come and sit with us and say, well, okay, well, here are all of my financials and this is what I'm trying to achieve. And I don't know if I'm doing it right, and these are where I think I'm going wrong. It was kind of like that. And it was like, shit.
It's nerve-wracking, really. Like, you're going in there and you're like, wow, like, I have to tell you all this and you're going to help me with all this.
And then kind of
exactly
showing the spotlight on things that, we hadn't thought about. And I mean, it's just exactly the same for our clients. So it was kind of good for us to be like, oh, okay, this is how they're feeling. And that was good. So the initial board meeting, was, Josh and myself and our 2 board members. So the reason that we chose only to use 2 instead of maybe 3 or 4 or something like that, is because when we met with them both, and told them obviously about each other, introduced them, etc., they were saying that at this point in time, let's let them work together, and then over time they'll be able to tell us if and what other maybe weakness or area or other board member we might want to bring in to fill that void, I guess. So we're kind of being led by them a little bit in terms of if they feel there's a missing piece.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe we'll get someone in marketing or IT just to kind of make it kind of even. But when we thought about it, we're like, we don't really need that at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say, like, if people are going out, what sort of remuneration would they, because I'm sure you guys looked into, like, what people would pay. What should people have in their mind if they were going to be paying for the board, a board?
Yeah.
Good question. It depends on the time and how often you want to catch up, or like anything really. But I would suggest somewhere between like 5,000 and 20,000 a year.
Depends how highly qualified they are, but I mean, they can definitely get up to around $20,000 per annum if you're needing that type of specialist expertise. That's probably 4 quarterly meetings. But on top of that, I mean, they are really great in terms of just the experience that they have and the contacts that they have, and it just brings a whole nother dimension, I guess. And we're only really early days, and just,
as in we've had 1 meeting.
Well, we have one with the 4 of us.
Yeah, all of us together.
It'll take us a quarter just to recuperate from that. So,
how long was that first period, like that initial onboarding, so to speak?
I think it's like 8 months.
Yeah, it would have.
To work out what we wanted, then to sit down with them individually, then try to get a time that suits both of them, and it's been a fairly long process.
And to get all the information together that they needed, it realistically was about a month. Sorry, 8 months.
How many sessions did you have with them in that initial period?
probably 2 each initially together.
2 probably
Phone calls as well.
formal, and then a lot of contact informally. Backing in from backing all the way.
Well, it's a bit like the advice process sort of thing. You've had 2 initial meetings, and there's been a whole lot of information the clients had to go away and work out and come back with.
Yeah.
It's actually very similar.
Yeah.
If you think about the whole thing, you kind of try to find the advisor, you find the right advisor, you go through the process, gather all the information. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah. So it is.
Good way to look at it, Adrian. I like it.
I really like it as a parallel. It's like the advising for the advisor sort of thing. Like
it is.
No, it really is. It is.
I need to get one of these boards, I think.
That's exactly right.
So how was, so you had those sessions and obviously big discovery process, and you've had two, was it, or one since then? So like the official...
We've had one official, and it literally was 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
2 weeks ago. So on the back of that, obviously action items have gone out, and we've started seeing stuff flow through from that. One of our board members, who's I suppose more on the leadership management side, she's actually going to be coming in and doing formal training with us in regards to how she feels that she can help. Our other board member, he's going to be helping. He's been sending through data in terms of, targets that we should be looking at, and contacts that we should be talking to, different connections and stuff like that. So it happens quite quickly. Once we got up and running, I feel like, it's just kind of started to happen, quite rapidly after that, and we've been able to kind of already see changes. I mean, obviously we're not seeing the outcome, but we are seeing changes.
So were they able to give you an understanding of what to expect over the initial period? Was that something that, I guess, is it like a high workload for you at the front, and then it sort of starts to get a bit more maintenance? Is that?
I don't know. It depends what you're trying to get out of it, because if you want to get a lot out of it, you have to put in a fair bit of work. So we're going to have to, I can see moving forward, we've got a lot of stuff to do. If anything, it's going to get probably more in detail of the stuff that we want to get out of it, putting more time around that. So it's probably more work almost, because we really want to change, and we can see the change and the benefit of the change. So that's going to be a fair bit of time, I would have thought.
Yeah, but I agree. I reckon that this front end, these initial 12 months, 2 years, or whatever it is going to be top heavy, realistically. And then I wouldn't say I don't see it getting to a point of maintenance. And I mean, both of them have been very honest. They're kind of saying, our tenure on the board, realistically, it'll get to a point where you almost outgrow us and have different skill sets that you need to bring in to grow that part of the business. So they're both really happy to.
So that's where it's not quite like an advice business, because our clients are for life. That's
exactly. Who would want to leave? They don't. So they kind of said, well, over time we'll find somebody else, and like in terms of what skills that you need, or bring other people on, realistically. So I kind of feel that the workload will just change.
For sure.
So what have been the quick wins that you've, like the things that you've seen just change, like in the short term?
For me, it was really aligning our personal goals and our business goals. And we had all these, but we kind of, I don't know, now we've aligned them really a lot more close. So now we know exactly where we're heading and what kind of needs to be done to get to that point. So just that clarity and the focus on that is probably one key thing. And the other one for me is really around, we've got lots of these little ideas that we're looking at doing. As an example would be kind of making another potential pursuer somewhere else. But when we went down and thought about this, they were like, well, what are your personal goals? Is that actually going to help you get to that? And we kind of thought, well, maybe not. So do we really need to be doing that? So it kind of makes you think about these little things that you're trying to do, but is it actually going to help you with what the business and your personal goals are?
Yeah, because there's always something else to do or something else to implement. That is some great idea that another advisor is doing, or that a completely different industry is doing. You're like, that's awesome. How can I implement that?
Yeah.
But if you don't actually think, well, actually, how is that aligned
Yeah.
with where we're going, and is that going to take us off path to the bigger vision or the bigger purpose?
So has there been a big parking of stuff that was sitting on the list of things to do, and you've been able to go through and go, yeah, that's sitting over here. That may come up in the future, but it's not relevant right now.
So we have this, I suppose, a matrix realistically in terms of the different projects that we're working on. And so importance and urgency is sitting up in this corner here. And Josh and I being the people we're trying to like cram everything up into the, this top.
Literally everything.
And then when we couldn't fit enough, we're like, oh, we'll just add another column for super, super urgent. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of people that we are.
This be done now.
And because you're a small business, you're like, oh, we can do that really quickly. But then I guess over time we've kind of just slowed down, and they've kind of said, well, what is really urgent here? Like, let's be really clear in how much time you have for this really urgent, really important activity. And maybe the ones that you're focusing on are more of a, medium or longer term type goal. So so we use this matrix, and they're kind of transitioning us onto, the Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3 in terms of how much time each day should be spent on each activity.
Yeah, that's good.
It's
That
interesting.
sounds like who's the more free-flowing of you two? Which one's really sort of, it's harder for them to fit into this structure?
We're both pretty structured, really.
Yeah.
But if anyone, it'd probably be me, I'd say.
Free flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh is more easygoing than me, I'd say.
Does he is he more in the yellow box if we go back to Horizons days, the HBDI sort of?
They were both in the yellow. That's probably the
probably
best
our
one. Yeah.
So the advisory board's really important.
Yeah, we are probably quite,
We are quite yellow.
yeah,
High
big
level.
thinkers.
And that's why
Always
we've got
ideas.
so many different ideas on the matrix Sam was
That's
explaining.
why we keep employing
They're all
people
so
to actually
important.
do the detail and do it for us. We'll think of the
Yeah.
idea. We'll just employ people to do it for us.
Yeah, it's all about complementing your skill set. That's
Exactly.
That's right. I agree.
we've got Benjamin Martian, our policy guru from the FBA. He wants to delve into how you decided you wanted those particular people, and like, is it right from what you guys were saying before that you sort of just reached out a bit and then sort of bounced off the people that you were talking with? Is that sort of, you said you sort of had an idea to get a group of people initially of all different areas that would then all have different skill sets, and then you gravitated towards people that just sort of you resonated with, or
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, they had to fit values, so we want to make sure they culturally, got along, and then they had the same values, but that they fit the what we wanted to get out of the actual board of advice, and they both kind of fit perfect, really.
Yeah, so one was, well, what are Josh and my weaknesses, and what skill sets can they bring to complement where we downfall? But more than that, the biggest thing, like Josh said, was the values piece, and it's everything that we do. Realistically, we try and align or surround ourselves with people with the same values as us. So, if they were all about, well, revenue, like where are you guys going and how much is this, like that stuff doesn't resonate with us to a level probably that it should. But it's more so about, well, how can we help more people, and how can we have, more fun and help our members have more fun, and how can they have more fulfilling lifestyles, and how does that resonate with us? So the people that we chose, I suppose luckily we had a good enough circle and connections with these people that we were able just to call on them, and to be very honest, they very quickly came to mind. When we were playing, we were writing down names as to, okay, well, who are the types of people that we know that fit into these buckets. These were people that were top of the list as to, in an ideal world, we would love to get these people, and luckily they were happy to say yes.
with that process there, was anyone helping you with that process at all, or was that the two of you just putting your heads together?
It was the two of us, realistically. I suppose it's kind of hard. I mean, you think, why do you have a board of advisors to kind of help you point out your weaknesses? But at that point in time when we didn't have anyone, it was us pointing out our own weaknesses, I guess. But no, you're right. It kind of, you're almost, maybe we should have had somebody independent assisting.
I don't know. I was just curious whether that was something.
It wouldn't hurt.
No, it wouldn't hurt. No. But I suppose that's probably why we, when speaking to them, they were like, well, we'll help you assess if you need somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Good question.
Well, so in terms of, like, we've sort of talked about what's improved a bit and like the clarity. Was there any really hard truths that popped up? Like that were just like, shit, I want to give up this business. This doesn't make sense anymore. I don't want to do it. Like,
what do we do?
There was one, wasn't there?
So the biggest one for me, and the one that hit home, I guess. So I'm, very, proud in terms of the way that I suppose my management style and leadership, and it really hit home for me, and it probably was very confronting for them because I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I know that, and I, wholeheartedly
Bit. No, and that shows in the quality of your work.
Thank you. Smooth.
Winner.
But understanding that also can be a deterrent, I guess, for people to try new things, and so we try and inspire the guys to be innovative. Yet when I'm being a perfectionist, maybe that's giving a conflicting message as okay, well, maybe they shouldn't be trying. So I mean, that was probably the most confronting thing for me. It hit me straight between the eyes.
So is it pretty much Sam, like, hands off? Like,
yeah. Well,
it's okay.
Well, it was quite easy for us to pick on you that, unfortunately.
So
Josh is there going, oh, how good. It's like they're on my side. I've got someone in my corner.
Yeah, Josh also got out the popcorn, bloody talking about watching me get drilled. No, it wasn't that bad.
Well, how about Josh?
Sorry, how about me? They didn't really pick on me too much.
No, just at a business level.
What kind of things did I kind of get out of it? The home truth. It's probably, I think that I need to be stricter in my management style, and we kind of need to be on the same page with our management style. So Sam and I've got really different ways of managing, and it kind of made me think, well, I need to, probably pull my socks up a little bit. So that was a little bit hard to kind of take, but understandable. And, that's why you kind of do something like this, is to try to improve yourself. So, that for me was great to learn that.
And I think that the reason that they put a lot of emphasis on our management and leadership is because, we're a growing team, but the biggest thing for us realistically is the quality of the people in our team. And, if they're happy and if they're thriving and pushing themselves. So that's a big focus for us. And so, we did lean on them a lot for that. And so, as I was saying, one of the guys is coming in and doing one-on-one coaching with us in terms of how Josh and I can be more consistent in our leadership style, but probably not only so leadership processes and just trying to make an all-round more efficient business.
Is the team brought in at any point a part of this process, or?
No, not initially.
No, we haven't as yet. Probably, for a reason, I'd say this is, at this point in time, is more to set strategic direction for the business. So our vision realistically is that Josh and I are the ones, and it needs to be, a top-down approach in terms of where the strategy is going for the business and the direction. And if we can properly inspire and lead the team, then, they'll be on the same page as us and to go. Otherwise, it can be quite, again, conflicting if they're seeing like, oh my God, we're working on so many different things. Like, where do I really fit into this? So that's probably why we decided, against it.
And we have like a I suppose, like a planning day every month. So where we'd kind of sit down as a whole team and go through, you know, what's working, what's not working, what are we changing, what's the new policy, procedure, et cetera, with the whole team. So we kind of make sure we spend a lot of time kind of working with the team together to try to make sure that Pursue Oil is operating as good as it can.
Yeah.
So
And that was an existing process you already had?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah, correct. So yeah.
Is there any new things that you've started to do that you weren't doing before in that space, or
In terms of the planning days and such?
in terms of team management and coordination with the team? Is there anything that's...
So we've kind of now implementing, so probably two things. I suppose a list of non-negotiables as to business expectations, KPIs around behavioural management.
That's the SAM list.
The SAM list, exactly. So things that I genuinely...
And then you got the Josh list.
And then I have to actually like let other things slide. So I need, it's like my, if you do this right, then I'll let other things that may not be as vital go, because you know this is the stuff that really matters. So that's the thing for me. But KPIs around behavioural management as well as, so you know there's certain ways to approach things, there's certain ways to show up to work, there's certain ways just more so in terms of you know KPIs are a lot of the time set around the actual work done, but when our biggest thing is you know having fun and being like fulfilled, then you have to have KPIs around your behaviour as well. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. So that's probably one big thing. And the other one, so for our planning days, we've now implemented a report that each of the team members will fill out before the day. So it's, you know, different things that they want to talk to the directors about, different things that they think are working really well, different operational decisions they want to be made. So it's kind of just more formalised it to make it more efficient and effective, and to ensure that everyone gets enough time, you know, to speak up about what's on their mind and how they think and how they feel that they can add value into the team.
Yeah, nice one.
Well, their business as it is ours, and we want them to feel like that. So they've got, you know, they can make a decision as well, and come up with ideas, and then we look at putting that on the matrix that we were talking about as well. So
that's become your reference point on how you feel to what gets done in practical.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, and that really came from this as well. So we kind of had all these ideas on, you know, different lists on Trello, and you know, all our different project lists, and then we kind of like, well, we need to start doing this. So that kind of helped, you know, coming from having this board of advice.
Condense and prioritise, and I guess, you know, on top of it, a lot of the different ideas that you know Josh and I are talking about have also come from the AFA board. You know, sitting on that, those guys have helped me heaps, seeing not only what their businesses are doing, because I mean everyone on that board is pretty unreal, but just seeing the different things that we do at a board level in terms of prioritisation, strategic direction, and how everyone's given a chance to speak up. So it's really interesting at that level, and how I can implement, you know, the really great practices there into our practice.
Well, yeah. So for some of the practices out there, they can't be bothered going through the whole advisory board process. What are the top 3 things that are on the strategic direction? What have you designated as important and urgent strategically and in the project pipeline?
Oh, I love that. Initially, the KPIs that Sam was mentioning, so around the behavioural side of things, so that's kind of one. What other bits and pieces?
Our marketing for us is up the top in terms of brand awareness, executive profiling, things like that. So that sits really high for us, and in terms of how we're actually going to roll that out, whether or not we bring someone on. So just an overall strategy for our marketing and branding piece.
And then the other one's probably more the efficiency side of things, and trying to, within the team, trying to make them work to the capacity that they can work at, so they continue to grow as a person. So kind of outsourcing some things that are kind of taking a lot of time for them that we could do potentially cheaper and more effective somewhere else. So
Any tech sort of... Everyone loves a bit of tech on Executive Advisor.
Adrian.
Any tech?
I'm asking the questions. You guys are what's on you today?
Oh gosh.
Oh, we use a lot of tech stuff. But I think, nowadays it's quite common for people to use, Trello's and Slack.
Like,
Docs.
so some of our stuff, so we have one of our staff members is based in New Zealand and one is over in the Philippines. And so, all of our remote desktops and stuff, we need to be able to like chat to people, Zoom and stuff like that. So we utilize all of that quite a lot. I mean, that's just our day-to-day processes because we're not all in one spot. So that's just day-to-day for us.
And so we make sure we have a team meeting every day because it's hard having people in all different areas of the world, so they kind of are isolated from the team. So we want to keep that team culture. So we make sure we phone everyone every day in the team meeting, go through what our positive is for the day, and then what we've got on.
Okay, so you set a time each day that everyone jumps in.
Yeah, so 8:45 every morning, well 8:45 here in Australia. Every morning we catch up just for 10 minutes and just run around the group, what's been going on in terms of just your own life, like what's something positive that happened the day before, and then what's on for the day and how can we help each other and try to make that.
And how long does that last for?
So we try to cut it off at 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's always, that would be hard for you, Sammy.
Pardon?
That would be hard for you, wouldn't it?
I know. Do you know what, this morning?
I have to cut her off daily.
So
that's great, then. Moving on.
We normally only have one positive, and I was like, well, I'm just so excited today. I've got 3 positive. And Josh is like, no, 1. Just pick 1. So I go.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you've been awesome today. Thank you for sharing what your journey's been with the advisory board. I'm sure there's a number of people out there that it's resonating with, and they're thinking, well, you're sort of telling your clients that they should be consulting with you and having you help them with their decision making to make sure they don't mess up. What makes us so special that there's not someone out there to help us on the same thing.
Yeah.
So really appreciate you sharing.
People have questions. I mean, feel free to reach out to us. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. So both Sammy and Josh are in the Facebook group, guys. So if you're not in the Facebook group and you're listening to this on the podcast or on YouTube, jump in the Facebook group. Sammy and Josh are in there. Everyone, you can tag them in a question, put them on the spot. They'll be fine to answer. And if you have any other questions, just jot them into the actual XY Live, the Facebook Live feed that's going to be sitting in the Facebook group as well. So looking forward to next week, Sammy. Very exciting. The client experience. Yeah, I hope you haven't given away too much of the session next week today.
I've got plenty in the bank. I can talk for days,
Awesome. Oh, exciting times. And best of luck to everyone out there who's up for awards tonight in the IFA.
Yeah, congrats everyone.
Right, so there's a lot of people in the XY Advisor group that are up for awards, and
including yourself, Adrian?
No, you gotta have something to be awarded for. So
come on, mate.
but there is some awesome people, YOLO and etc. So good luck to everyone.
Yeah, good luck everyone. And thanks for your question, Ben, as well.
Yeah. All right, well, signing off from XY Advisor.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.